Hello and welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kay Murray and Shaka Hislop here in the studio, and the countdown is on to the Champions League Final. It's coming up on Saturday in Germany between PSG and Inter. Let's welcome in Stewart Robson and also Mark Ogden, who's actually in Germany, in Munich, ahead of the final to talk more about what we can expect. Let's start with you if we can, Mark. Set the scene for us from Munich right now.
Yeah, well, it's surprisingly quiet considering it's 2 days to the Champions League final, but it's Ascension Day in Munich and it's a public holiday, so everything is closed. So it's the quietest match day -2 for a Champions League final that I've experienced for quite a while. So, but I expect tomorrow there'll be floods of fans from Milan and from Paris, and you can sense obviously the UEFA banners are up and all the suggestions that there's a Champions League final. But yeah, it is very quiet, but. Give it a couple of, give it a day or so, and it'll be very busy on Saturday, I think.
It's just the calm before the storm, Mark.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
He's not used to calms.
Yeah, he's not used to that. No, he's more used to the Manchester way of life. Stewart Robson, our resident tactician, tell us why Inter are going to win this final.
Well, there's three things they have to do very well. First of all, they've got to get their defensive game plan right. Is by the way they switch play. Most teams switch play round the back or they switch play through midfield. Inter switch play through the front players. So they go from mainly left into the front two. They link up, and then there's that big switch of play out to Denzel Dumfries out on the right-hand side. If Mendes is a bit tight or narrow at times to stop the runs of Barella, Dumfries will get down that right-hand side. So they're the three areas where if they do it well, Inter can win the game.
Stewart Robson, our resident tactician, tell us why PSG will win this game.
PSG, I think, could win the game, and I've got them down as the favourites because they've got three midfield players that can dominate. They can also run in behind. So whatever Inter do, I think they will drop deep. Whatever Inter do, if they have to squeeze up at some point, there's a way that PSG can break them down. So domination of the midfield, and then the front three players have got that ability to go past people. That's why I think PSG will win the game.
So it really is a hard one to call. You should see it when it comes to everyone's predictions. Everybody is divided on who's going to win this game. And of course, Champions League glory is there for both of the teams. It's there for the taking in this final. But we could be seeing who the Ballon d'Or winner this season is when it comes to this final, because two of the names that keep coming up are Lamine Yamal and Ousmane Dembele. We know with Lamine Yamal, he got the domestic double with Barcelona. He gave an incredible account of himself this season. He showed his talent. He came up big in the games where he was really needed, and he's still only 17 years old. But as for Ousmane Dembele, he's won Ligue 1, he's won the Trophée des Champions, he's won the Coupe de France, and now potentially, Shaka, he could be a Champions League winner as well. If PSG go on to win it, would that swing it for you in voting for Dembele as the Ballon d'Or winner?
I'm not sure it would swing it. If PSG don't win the Champions League, I don't think Dembele wins it. For me, Lamine Yamal remains favourite. I think what's going against Dembele here is his limited involvement in the semi-finals. He was injured, so didn't play a significant role in those games against Arsenal. And you just wonder if that maybe kind of takes away from his importance, puts together an incredible performance in this final and totally dominates the game. Then he's in with a shout. But it would take a performance, a man-of-the-match performance by some distance, I think, to see him leapfrog Lamine Yamal.
Let's talk a little bit about Dembele this season, if we can, Robbo, and where this season came from in terms of what he's been able to deliver for PSG.
Well, we've always seen him as a wide player, and he had a problem at the start of the season. Remember when they played Arsenal at the Emirates early season? He was just not suspended. He was dropped by the manager for disciplinary reasons. And then he was put in at centre forward, and suddenly he's found his form. And he started to run in behind people. He started to drop into midfield, pick up the ball, run at defenders. He's scored goals. He's linked up the play. He's done everything you want from a centre forward. He's looked a totally different player. And we saw him play for Barcelona out on the wing, and he played well on many occasions. But there was times when he was inconsistent. At one point, he was being booed by the Barcelona fans. He turned them around at one point. But this season, the change of position, the way that PSG have started to play from probably, I suppose, about October time, when they started to become this top side, and he's been a big part of it. So that's been the change of position for him.
One of your recent articles, Mark, has been the remake that we've seen at PSG. Talk to us a little more about that and what we're seeing from them under Luis Enrique.
Yeah, it's like they just basically changed their philosophy. And obviously, we know that PSG, for the first 7, 8 years of Qatari ownership, went out and bought the biggest names, from Beckham to Zlatan to Cavani, then stepped it up a level to Neymar, Mbappe, and Lionel Messi, and it didn't work. I remember seeing him at the Etihad for one game, and they were defending a corner with 8 men because there were 3 men stood on the halfway line with their hands on their hips, and that was Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi. They didn't want to know. So they've got rid of the superstars and developed a team of young players and hungry young players with real talent, but also, most importantly, I think, with a great coach. Luis Enrique is a great coach. He's got a fantastic track record. And I think that they've now benefited from that. They wanted to build a team as well, PSG, that identified with the fans, so the fans could identify with. They felt that there was no connection to Paris and the PSG ultras. So I think they've done that. They've kind of, we're talking about Dembele, but Desiree Doué's had a fantastic time. Barcola's had a fantastic time. Hakimi, obviously, he's not French, but he's developed fantastically this season down the right. So they've got a team that the fans are proud of, and they've got a team that hasn't cost them millions. Now, they have made mistakes. Colin Moani and even Manuel Ugarte were signed for big money 18 months ago, 2 years ago, didn't really work out. But I think what they've got now, and it's amazing, really, because, until 12 months ago, PSG were a team a bit like Man City, where fans didn't warm to them because it was basically built on oil money. That was the accusation. But now PSG have become everyone's second favourite team because of the way they play. They play PlayStation football, and everyone loves it because it's so attacking and so refreshing and so exciting. But they are up against the big bad wolf in Inter Milan, and that's the classic clash, isn't it? That this beautiful team to watch against this team that will just get the job done, and it's impossible to call, really.
So when we talk about predictions, it sounds as though PSG are your second favourite here, Mark.
Yes, my heart says PSG. I'd love PSG to win it for the way that they play. They're so exciting to watch. And Robbo's right, the midfield, I just love watching that midfield. They just keep the ball so well. But Inter they just know how to manage a game. And I think when you got someone like Acerbi scoring a goal in stoppage time against Barcelona, that suggests that this might be their year. They might have the name on the trophy. So I think Inter might just do a job on them on Saturday. And, for the romantics in us, and yes, I'm a romantic, Kay, I think that Inter are going to win.
That's what we always say about you, to be honest, Mark. Just how romantic you are.
I don't know why that made me laugh so much.
Well known and widely known here at ESPN FC. Shaka, why is it PSG?
Listen, I think going back to the PSG-Liverpool tie, PSG have been the best team in European football. I thought certainly that the second leg, you could say the first leg as well, even losing at home in Paris to Liverpool, they were simply outstanding, and they've not stopped that run. But Mark's right. Inter Milan are just this fearsome machine that refuses to be beaten. Psychologically, mentally, Inter certainly can cause, I'll call it an upset, given that I have PSG winning. Without question, they're able to do that. But I just feel in footballing terms, as I said, PSG have been the best in Europe going back last three to 4 months. Let's disregard the first half of the Champions League season where they were awful by these standards. And it comes down to Luis Enrique, how he's changed the culture of that football club, the kind of football he has them playing. Credit to him for the job that they're doing. They're the best of the bunch.
Yes, and obviously something Robbo agrees with. And if you'd like to hear more of Robbo's take on PSG and this Champions League final, be sure to check out the latest Gab and Robbo show. It is the Gab and Jules show. It drops twice a week, and on the latest one there is a huge tactical breakdown.